What's up, guys? Figured I'd show you this setup real quick before I put it back together. I was just kind of taking it apart and checking to see what everything's looking like in there. Nothing's hatched yet. I started this at about 1:30, 2 o'clock yesterday. It's now about 10 a.m. There's just under 1/8 of a teaspoon of eggs in there, and about half of it, about 1/16 of a teaspoon in that one. I don't know how much I need for what I got, so I'm experimenting. The tubes are connected using hot glue. I think it was like a 5/32 bit. It might have been a different size, but shove the tubes in there. They're only sticking into the cap just a smidge, hot glued both sides. Of course, they come down to valves where I can just do a shut off, pull it off, drain it. This is an LED. It gives off a little bit of heat at the base, which is uncomfortable to touch, but just frankly isn't enough heat to really heat this water up enough. So I've got a heating pad and I just set it on the low setting. Oop, sorry. Set it on the low setting. Oh, I messed it up. Now it's vibrating. And I blocked the light out using this. It's just a piece of black flooring plastic. I got these little lead. Sorry, I've got so many pieces of plastic near the air pump here that if I let them touch in the wrong way, things rattle. The pump is actually pretty decently quiet, but it's right here next to all these different plastics, and hear that? Yeah. So just use plant weights to weigh down the flooring plastic. It acts as an insulator. It keeps the light from bleeding out and being blinding when you're walking into the kitchen just to grab a drink and you get blinded by this giant LED daylight bulb. Yeah, it's a pretty basic setup. One thing I didn't want to spend like 15 bucks on is a strainer, and I ran through a couple of different scenarios and I came up with this messy thing. Now I know this looks like a mess, but it's 160 fine grade mesh. Let me just set that right there and get this zoomed in if I can. There we go. And what I did is just laid it over right at the center. There's still a seam from the fold that was in it that I had to unstitch. Hot glued it, folded it, and just kind of worked my way down as I went. I know it's a mess, but it's perfect for wide mouth mason jars. This little Rubbermaid container is just the lip is just a hair. I'm talking like a millimeter or two. Just a millimeter or two too big to go down into the jar. Even if it was just a hair smaller, if you got one that was a hair smaller, this is ever so slightly conical, so it would catch and you'd have a little thing you could grab, but it's perfect. So the game plan is when I disconnect, strain it through here. The water will go in there, and then the idea I have is to have fresh warm water right here that isn't salty. I don't think I'm going to rinse them off specifically, but I'll take this and just stick it, boop, right in there, so that it'll have about, you know, half an inch of water come back up in there. Much more volume than that. I can dip them a couple of times, plunk, 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 and yeah, so that's the idea. Just plunk them in a couple of times, and then suck them out, feed them. That's the idea. I'll let you guys know how it works out. Thanks for watching.